Have you ever found yourself reaching for something on the top shelf, only to stop halfway? Not because you couldn't, but because a little voice in the back of your mind whispered, "What if you fall?" Or maybe you've hesitated before stepping into a crowded grocery store, not because you didn't know what to buy, but because you were tired of people looking at you like you needed help. That shift, from doing things confidently to second-guessing yourself, can sneak up on you. And it's not just physical. Sometimes it's subtle moments like someone finishing your sentence because they assume you've forgotten what you were saying, or your adult child calling to check in and offering to take care of something you know perfectly well how to handle. It's always meant with love, but somewhere deep inside, you start to wonder, am I still capable of doing things on my own? If you've ever felt that way, you're not alone. And here's the truth. Just because you've crossed 70 doesn't mean you're destined to hand over the reins. You can still live fully, think clearly, move freely, and make your own decisions without always needing a hand to hold. Staying independent isn't about being stubborn. It's about staying strong in the ways that truly matter, physically, mentally, and emotionally. That's what today's conversation is about, because there are simple, practical things, tricks really, that you can start doing that will help you feel more stable, more confident, and more in control. They don't require perfect health or a pile of money. They just require one thing: belief that you're still in charge of your life. Let's begin where most people start to feel that loss of independence first, in the body, not with serious illness, but with something so ordinary it's often brushed aside: balance. How often have you told yourself, "I'm just a little wobbly today," or "I don't want to risk it, I'll skip the walk"? It seems like a smart choice at the time, but the more we avoid movement, the more unsure we become. Staying upright, steady, and confident starts with small movements. And no, I'm not talking about going to the gym or training like an athlete. I mean things like standing on one foot while brushing your teeth or walking heel to toe across your living room. These little movements challenge your brain to stay connected with your muscles. They sharpen your reflexes, and slowly but surely, they help you trust your body again. There was a woman I met, Margaret, 74. She told me she used to avoid curbs and uneven sidewalks after a close call where she stumbled and barely caught herself. "I didn't fall," she said, "but I lost my nerve." So she started skipping her daily walks, sitting more, asking her daughter to pick up her groceries. One day she realized she hadn't gone further than her mailbox in 2 weeks. She decided to change that. Each day she practiced standing up without using her hands. She held onto her kitchen counter and lifted one foot for 5 seconds at a time. It wasn't much. But within a few weeks, she said, "I stopped fearing the ground. I started trusting my feet again." That's the kind of strength that builds independence. Not heavy weights or long workouts, but the decision to move even in small ways every single day. And movement has a companion you can't ignore: posture. You might not think of posture as a trick for independence, but it absolutely is. Standing tall sends a message, not just to others, but to your own brain. It says, "I'm here, I'm strong, I'm stable." Think about the last time you saw someone hunched over with their eyes on the floor. They didn't look confident, did they? They looked like they were bracing for the world, not engaging with it. Now think about someone who walks with their head up, shoulders back, taking steady steps. You can feel the difference. That posture doesn't just protect your back, it protects your sense of self. And it doesn't take much to improve it. Every time you walk into a room, imagine there's a string gently pulling the top of your head toward the ceiling. Open your chest. Breathe deeply. You'll not only move better, you'll feel better. When you walk tall, you take up space again. And sometimes just taking up space is enough to remind yourself that you belong, that you haven't disappeared, that you are not fragile. You are here. Now, as important as it is to keep your body moving and upright, there's something else that plays a huge role in staying independent: decision-making. And this one is sneaky, because the older we get, the more people around us start making small decisions for us. Out of love, of course, but the danger is we start letting them. It starts with, "Let me take care of that for you." Then, "I'll pick something up from the store instead." Before long, you've stopped choosing what you eat, where you go, even what time you wake up or rest. And that loss of choice, of autonomy, makes the world feel smaller and smaller. But decision-making is a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. That doesn't mean you have to make every choice alone. It just means you stay involved. You ask questions. You offer your opinion. You say, "I'd like to try it this way," or "Let me decide what I want to wear today." Even little things, like choosing your breakfast or picking a movie to watch, reinforce your role as the leader of your life. There was a man named Ed, 77, who had moved in with his daughter after a surgery. She was incredibly helpful. She managed his meds, cooked all his meals, handled the bills. But over time, Ed said he started to feel like a guest in his own story. So he made a change. He asked to manage his morning routine again. He wanted to pick his own clothes, set his own alarm, and organize his pill box each week. He told me it wasn't about being independent for everything. It was about remembering that I still run my life. That's the kind of mindset that keeps your independence alive. Not needing to do everything, but refusing to be invisible in your own choices. And that idea of being seen is so important. Because sometimes, even when your body is strong and your mind is clear, you can still feel like you're fading into the background. People talk around you, not to you. They assume things about you instead of asking. And slowly you start to speak up less. You let others answer. You nod along. But your voice matters. Your story matters. And staying independent means staying engaged. Even small conversations can be powerful. Making a phone call to a friend, chatting with your neighbor when you take the trash out, asking a question at your doctor's office instead of just nodding. These moments, these connections, remind you that you're not just watching the world go by. You're part of it. There's a quiet strength in being able to say, "Here I am. I have something to say. I'm still involved." And when you use that voice, something shifts, not just in others, but inside yourself. You feel grounded, present, awake. And that's what independence really is, not doing everything on your own, but feeling like you're still the one steering the ship. So as you reflect on all of this, take a moment and check in with yourself. When was the last time you chose your own path for the day, not just followed someone else's plan? When was the last time you stood up tall and felt proud of your body, even if it's changed? When was the last time you moved, not because you had to, but because you wanted to remind yourself you still can? You don't need anyone's permission to claim your strength. It's already inside you. It always has been. It's just a matter of waking it back up one step at a time. Let's keep going together. There's more to explore, more stories to share, and more ways to stay strong. Not in spite of age, but because of it. There's a quiet power that starts to grow the moment you stop seeing yourself as someone who needs help and start recognizing just how much you're still capable of. When you begin each morning not with the thought of what might go wrong, but with the decision to live that day on your own terms. You've already begun strengthening that power by keeping your body moving, standing tall, staying involved in your decisions, and refusing to let your voice fade into the background. These aren't just good habits, they're declarations. Every step you take with purpose, every choice you make for yourself, every moment you stay fully engaged with life is a reminder that you haven't gone anywhere. You're still here, and you're still in charge. But let's be honest, some days don't feel so strong. Some days you feel tired before noon, or your joints ache just from walking across the room, or maybe your mind feels a little foggier than usual. And it's in those moments that the desire to just rest, just let others step in, becomes tempting. Rest is important. Listening to your body is wise. But there's a difference between giving yourself space and giving up your rhythm. Because once you start handing over your daily routines, even the small ones, you start handing away little pieces of your independence without realizing it. That's why this next part of staying strong after 70 is so important. It's about protecting your daily rhythm, not a rigid schedule, but a steady flow to your day that keeps you feeling alert, useful, and connected to time. You see, independence isn't just about being able to walk or cook your own meals. It's also about knowing where your day is headed, having a reason to get out of bed, having a plan, no matter how simple, that you made and that you carry out. There's a man I know, Ron 75, who told me something once that stuck. He said, "I used to sleep in, eat whenever, and then wonder why I felt so low. I thought I was just getting old. But really, I was drifting." He wasn't tired. He was disconnected from his own time. So he made a small change. He started waking up at the same time every morning, took his coffee to the porch, wrote down 1 or 2 things he wanted to do that day. Nothing big, just a few small goals. Maybe reading a chapter from a book, maybe calling a friend, maybe cooking dinner instead of heating something up. He said, "It gave me a sense of ownership again, like my days were mine." That's what routine gives you, ownership. It creates a foundation you can stand on, even if you move slower than before, even if you have fewer tasks than you used to. What matters is that you're the one deciding, and it doesn't have to be complicated. Maybe your rhythm starts with something as simple as making your bed, stretching for 5 minutes, and reading a devotion or passage from a favorite book. Maybe it's writing down your meals or planning a short walk after lunch. Every part of that day becomes a building block of your strength, not because of what you do, but because you're choosing to do it. And then there's your space, your home, your room, your little corner of the world. Sometimes, as the years pass, clutter creeps in, drawers fill up, counters get crowded, items get stored just in case but never used, and slowly your environment becomes less of a place to thrive and more of a place to shuffle around. This next trick to staying independent isn't about cleaning up for guests. It's about setting up your space so that it serves you, so that you can move confidently, reach what you need without strain, and feel calm rather than overwhelmed. Think about how many little frustrations you've quietly accepted. Maybe the cabinet where your medication sits is too high now, or the chair you use daily is a little too soft and hard to get out of. Maybe your shoes pile up near the door and make it hard to step through safely. These don't seem like big things, but they're signals, and when ignored, they begin to erode your confidence. A woman I once spoke with, Lena, 72, said something that made me smile. "I didn't need a new house," she said. "I just needed my house to treat me like I'm 72, not 32. So she rearranged her kitchen so that the dishes she used most often were within easy reach. She added a handle next to her bathtub, not because she had fallen, but because she didn't want to. She replaced her favorite recliner with a firmer chair that let her stand up with ease. She didn't see it as giving in. She saw it as taking control. And that's exactly the mindset you need. Don't wait until something becomes a problem to fix it. Look around and ask yourself, does this make my life easier or harder? And if it's harder, change it, because every small adjustment you make in your environment gives you a little more freedom, a little more security, a little more belief that yes, you can continue to live independently. It's not about perfection, it's about preparation. You're not just reacting to aging, you're getting ahead of it. Now let's talk about something else that's often overlooked when it comes to staying strong and self-reliant: hydration. I know it sounds too simple, but the truth is, staying hydrated is one of the quietest ways to stay sharp, steady, and strong, and one of the most neglected. As we age, our thirst response becomes less accurate. You might not feel thirsty, but your body still needs water. And when you don't get enough, you feel tired. Your joints ache, your balance gets worse, your memory fades. It's like trying to run a car on fumes. There was a study that showed that even mild dehydration can mimic signs of confusion or fatigue, something that often gets mistaken for aging when really it's just a dry system. Drinking enough water every day helps your muscles move better. It helps your digestion. It clears your mind. It even reduces the risk of falls because your body is better balanced and your blood pressure is steadier. I know it's easy to forget. That's why this isn't about drinking 8 glasses all at once. It's about making hydration part of your rhythm. A glass of water when you wake up, another with your meals, a small glass before bed. Leave a filled water bottle on the table where you can see it. Add lemon or cucumber if that helps. Herbal tea counts too. Just stay consistently watered, like a plant you care for. You don't have to feel thirsty to need it. You just have to remind yourself that your body still works hard for you, and it needs simple things to keep it strong. And here's the heart of all of this. Every one of these tricks, whether it's moving more, standing taller, making your own choices, building your rhythm, organizing your space, or drinking enough water, they aren't grand. They don't take a miracle. They take intention, and with intention comes a sense of self that says, I'm not just aging, I'm living, I'm not giving up, I'm preparing, I'm not broken, I'm still strong, in ways that matter most. So don't let anyone make you feel like independence is something you have to slowly surrender with each passing year. You may need new tools, you may move a little slower, you may ask for help in some areas, but you can still live on your terms, you can still feel capable, you can still be you. And being you, fully, clearly, proudly, that is the greatest strength you have. Let's keep going because there's still more to talk about. More ways to stay rooted in your strength. More ideas to help you keep your freedom alive, not as a memory, but as your daily reality. You've made it this far not by accident, but by strength, real strength, the kind that doesn't always shout but quietly shows up every day, through change, through challenge, through choices both big and small. That strength is still there. It's not behind you, it's inside you. And now, as we bring everything together, it's time to talk about one final area of independence that many people ignore, until they realize how much it impacts their confidence. It's not your legs, it's not your memory, it's not even your daily routine, it's your connections, the people you speak to, the energy around you, the feeling that you are still part of something bigger than just your 4 walls. Because here's the truth, independence isn't just about doing things by yourself, it's about feeling whole. And wholeness doesn't come from isolation. It comes from having a life that still feels like a life, rich with conversations, laughter, purpose, and presence. But loneliness is sneaky. It doesn't always feel like sadness. Sometimes it just feels like boredom, or like losing interest in what used to matter. You find yourself saying, what's the point of calling them, they're probably busy. Or, I don't want to bother anyone. So you pull back, you stay quiet, and the days get quieter too. But the more disconnected you become from people, the more disconnected you become from yourself. You start to forget how important your voice is, how valuable your thoughts are. You begin to fade, not because you have nothing left to give, but because no one is hearing you anymore. And that's why the final trick to staying independent is one many people overlook. Stay socially alive. That doesn't mean attending every gathering or suddenly becoming outgoing if you never were. It means reaching out, even once a day, even with a short message or a 5-minute call. There's a man named Walter I once met, 79 years old, widowed, soft-spoken. He used to go days without speaking to anyone. Not because he didn't care, but because he didn't want to be a burden. Until one day, a neighbor brought him some cookies and said, "You know, I've missed seeing you around. It doesn't feel the same without your stories." That moment woke something up in him. He started joining his local library's senior coffee mornings. Not every week, just when he felt up to it. And you know what he said after a few months? "It reminded me I still matter, that people still want me around, and they do. People do want you around. Your presence is valuable, not just to others, but to you. The more you speak, the more alive you feel. The more you listen, the more connected you become." Even sharing a memory with a grandchild, asking a neighbor how their day was, writing a letter to someone from your past, these things rebuild the bridge between you and the world. And when you feel connected, you want to take care of yourself. You want to move more, eat better, speak up, be heard, because life feels meaningful again. And that sense of meaning, that deep sense of "I still belong here," is one of the greatest protectors of your independence, because it reminds you, "I'm not done." So now let's reflect for a moment, not on what you've lost over the years, but on what you've held on to, your ability to adapt, to think, to move, to choose, to connect. These are not small things. These are the core of your strength. Maybe your hands don't open jars the way they used to. Maybe your knees crack when you get out of bed, but your spirit, that's still yours. It hasn't gone anywhere. And the more you invest in it, with movement, routine, choice, care, hydration, clarity, and connection, the more it comes back to life. Because independence isn't a finish line, it's a practice, a mindset. 1,000 little decisions every day that say, "I still run this life, no matter how old I am." And yes, there will be days that are harder than others. That's part of being human. But you now have tools, simple tricks, that help you hold on to what matters most, your ability to live with dignity, direction, and joy. You wake up, you stretch, you move, you eat what makes you feel good, you hydrate, you speak up, you choose what to wear, you notice your posture, you make your space easier to navigate, you call someone, you share something, you laugh, you cry if you need to, you get back up again. These are not just actions, these are acts of power. You may be over 70, but you are not past your prime. In fact, the prime of life isn't measured in speed or strength. It's measured in peace, in clarity, in freedom. And when you protect your independence, you protect your peace. So today, if there's a part of you that has felt like you're slowly disappearing, come back. Come back to yourself. Come back to the version of you that knows how to lead, how to move, how to decide, how to live boldly even in small ways. That version is still there. And they are waiting for you to say, "Let's go, let's start again. Let's make today one I'm proud of." And if this conversation has lit a spark in you, I'd love for you to share that in the comments. What's one small thing you've done or want to do that helps you feel strong, steady, and fully yourself again? Maybe your story will help someone else take their first step too. And if you found this message helpful, please give this video a like and subscribe. There's a whole community here of people just like you. People who believe that aging isn't the end of freedom, but the beginning of living more deliberately. You are still strong, you are still capable. And you are still the one who gets to write the next chapter. So here's to the daily steps, the quiet courage, the simple routines, and the powerful belief that yes, you can still live with pride, peace, and independence. Here's to living your best life at any age.